4 ships disappear in 11 days. Same location, same circumstances. No distress signals, no debris fields, no evidence of attack. The vessels simply stop responding and vanish from every tracking system. Satellites show empty water where ships should be. Radar returns nothing. 312 people gone without trace. Theories spread faster than facts. Secret weapons, underwater ambush, electromagnetic warfare, mass abduction. But what if the explanation is simpler and far more terrifying than anyone wants to admit? Sea Doctrine investigates the zone where ships go dark and crews disappear into something worse than death. The MV Nordic Star reports normal operations at 22:14 local time on October 3rd. Bulk carrier, Panamanian flag, crew of 28. Position, 17 degrees north latitude, 41 degrees east longitude, Central Red Sea. The vessel is transmitting AIS data, maintaining course. Speed 13 knots. Weather conditions are optimal. Sea state 2. Visibility unlimited. Nothing suggests any problem. At 22:31, the Nordic Star's AIS transponder stops broadcasting. This is not unusual. Technical glitches occur. Transponders fail. Captains sometimes disable them to avoid piracy risks. Maritime authorities note the loss of signal, but no alarm is raised. Ships go dark temporarily all the time. They reappear hours later with explanations about electrical issues or antenna problems. But Nordic Star never reappears. At 06 AM the next morning, the shipping company attempts radio contact. No response. Satellite phone calls go unanswered. Emergency beacon shows no activation. The company contacts Maritime Rescue Coordination Centers. Search and rescue protocols activate. Aircraft are dispatched to last known position. The search area is small. Nordic Star had precise coordinates when AIS went dark. Ocean currents and drift calculations provide tight parameters. Finding a 200-meter ship should be straightforward. But the search finds nothing. No ship, no lifeboats, no debris, no oil slick, no wreckage. The ocean is empty. 3 days of intensive search operations produce 0 results. Nordic Star and 28 crew members have vanished completely. One ship disappearing is unusual but explainable. Catastrophic structural failure, rapid sinking, bad weather misreported, navigation error leading to grounding in uncharted waters. Theories exist even if evidence does not. Sea Doctrine tracks what happens when one disappearance becomes 4. 6 days after Nordic Star vanishes, the container ship Eastern Glory goes dark in the same area. October 9th, 22:47 local time. Position, 16.9 degrees north, 41.2 degrees east, less than 20 nautical miles from where Nordic Star disappeared. Eastern Glory is larger, 300 meters, crew of 32, carrying 1,500 containers. AIS transponder stops broadcasting, radio contact lost. Emergency beacons silent, the ship disappears. Search and rescue launches immediately. This time authorities are prepared. Aircraft are already in the area from Nordic Star search. Additional vessels are dispatched. Naval assets join the operation. Underwater sonar sweeps are conducted. Satellite imagery is analyzed in real time. The search is comprehensive and immediate. Results are identical to Nordic Star. Nothing, no ship, no survivors, no debris, no explanation. Eastern Glory and 32 people are gone. 2 ships in the same location, 6 days apart. The pattern is undeniable. Maritime authorities declare the area a potential hazard zone. Ships are advised to avoid 17 degrees north, 41 degrees east. Shipping companies begin rerouting. Naval forces increase patrols. The zone is monitored continuously. Theories begin forming. Underwater mines, submarine attacks, piracy with complete crew abduction. secret military operations, experimental weapons testing. Every theory has problems. Mines create debris fields. Submarines leave evidence. Pirates want ransom, not total disappearance. Military operations do not vanish civilian ships without trace. Experimental weapons will be tested in controlled ranges, not commercial shipping lanes. None of the theories explain the complete absence of evidence. Trade routes, missiles, and war. Red Sea Doctrine. Intelligence services worldwide focus resources on the Red Sea anomaly. Satellite data is reviewed frame by frame. Communications intercepts are analyzed for any mention of the missing ships. Human intelligence sources are activated. The investigation is intense. 3 days later, October 12th at 23:04 local time, the tanker Caspian Prosperity goes dark. Position 17.1 degrees north, 41.1 degrees east. The exact center of the hazard zone. Crew of 25, carrying 1.2 million barrels of crude oil. Why was Caspian Prosperity transiting a declared hazard zone? Company records show the tanker received routing advisories. The captain acknowledged the warnings, but Caspian Prosperity maintained course through the danger area. Either the captain believed the risk was exaggerated or he had orders that overrode safety concerns. The reason dies with him. AIS goes dark, radio silence, emergency beacons inactive. The ship vanishes. But this time, naval vessels are watching. A destroyer is stationed 30 nautical miles from the hazard zone. Maritime patrol aircraft are conducting continuous surveillance. Underwater sensors are deployed. The area is under total observation. Yet somehow, a 280-meter oil tanker disappears without being detected. The destroyer's radar shows Caspian Prosperity until 23:05. Then the return vanishes. Not fading, not degrading, instant disappearance from radar. Sonar detects no underwater disturbance, no explosion signature, no cavitation from rapid sinking. Acoustic sensors hear nothing unusual. Surface surveillance shows empty ocean. 300,000 tons of steel and oil do not vanish silently. Physics does not allow it. But Caspian Prosperity is gone. Naval commanders demand explanations from their sensor operators. Equipment is checked and rechecked. Everything functions normally. The data is clear. At 23:05, a large vessel was present. At 23:06, it was not. No transition, no process, instant disappearance. Can a ship vanish from radar and sonar simultaneously? Comment Y if you believe it is equipment failure. Comment N if something else is happening. Intelligence analysis produces preliminary theory, advanced electronic warfare, sophisticated jamming capable of spoofing multiple sensor types simultaneously. If an adversary can make a ship invisible to radar, sonar, and visual observation, they can create the appearance of disappearance. The ship is still there. Sensors just cannot detect it. But why? What strategic purpose is served by making commercial ships invisible? And where are the ships now? If they are hidden but still afloat, they must be somewhere. Satellite imagery of the entire Red Sea is analyzed. Every vessel is tracked. Unidentified contacts are investigated. Nothing matches the missing ships. If Eastern Glory, Caspian Prosperity, and Nordic Star still exist, they are hidden so completely that no intelligence system on Earth can find them. The alternative is they are actually gone, destroyed completely. But destruction creates evidence, debris, bodies, oil slicks, wreckage. The Red Sea has been searched by assets from 12 nations. If evidence existed, it would have been found. Red Sea Doctrine examines what happens when evidence and logic contradict. 11 days after the first disappearance, the cargo ship Mediterranean Hope enters the hazard zone. October 14th, 22:52, local time. Mediterranean Hope is aware of the risk. The captain sent messages to company headquarters explaining his decision. The direct route saves 36 hours. Fuel costs are reduced by $80,000. Insurance still covers the transit because no formal restriction exists. Only an advisory. Mediterranean Hope calculates the risk is acceptable. The ship has advanced communications equipment, multiple redundant emergency systems, a crew trained for crisis response. If anything happens, they will send distress signals. They will activate beacons. They will survive long enough for rescue. Mediterranean Hope is wrong. At 23:19, AIS goes dark. Radio contact lost. 67 crew members, 4,000 containers, gone. This time the response is immediate. The destroyer races to last known position. Helicopters launch from nearby airfields. Aircraft converge on the zone. The response time from disappearance to first asset on scene is 11 minutes. 11 minutes is not enough time for a ship to sink without trace. Not enough time for crew to abandon ship completely. Not enough time for debris to disperse beyond detection. But when rescue assets arrive, they find nothing. 4 ships, 147 crew members, combined cargo value of $600 million, vanished from a zone under continuous surveillance by military forces from multiple nations. This is not pirates, this is not weather, this is not accident. Something is deliberately removing ships and crews from the Red Sea. The question is what and why? Who controls this sea? A. U.S. and allies. B. Regional powers. C. No one. Naval forces establish exclusion zone around 17 degrees north, 41 degrees east. No civilian traffic permitted. Warships maintain continuous patrol. Submarines are deployed underwater. The zone is locked down. If another ship enters, it will be escorted out by force. Scientific vessels are authorized to investigate. Oceanographic surveys search for underwater features that might explain the disappearances. Magnetic anomalies, geological formations, unusual currents, anything that could provide natural explanation. The surveys find normal seabed topology, standard magnetic readings, predictable current patterns, no anomalies. The ocean floor in the hazard zone is unremarkable. But something happened there 4 times. Intelligence agencies pursue darker theories. Mass abduction of crews for forced labor. Human trafficking on unprecedented scale. Ships are not destroyed. They are captured. Crews are taken. Vessels are repainted and sold into dark fleet operations. The theory explains the lack of debris. No ships sank because ships were stolen intact. But the logistics are impossible. Capturing a modern merchant vessel requires overwhelming force. Subduing crews of 20 to 60 people without any distress signals requires perfect coordination. Hiding 4 large ships requires infrastructure that satellite surveillance would detect. Moving 147 abducted people across international borders requires networks that intelligence services would penetrate. The theory is logically sound, but practically impossible, unless the impossible is happening. Sea Doctrine investigates rumors from coastal communities. Fishermen report seeing strange lights in the hazard zone, vessels that appear on horizon, then vanish. Unusual underwater sounds. The reports are dismissed as superstition until patterns emerge. Multiple independent witnesses describe similar phenomena. Lights that do not match standard navigation markers. Ships that move at impossible speeds. Sounds that do not correspond to known marine traffic. Intelligence services interview witnesses. The testimonies are consistent. Something unusual is operating in the hazard zone. Something that appears to be ships, but behaves in ways ships cannot. Theories shift from military to speculative. Classified submarine technology, submersible cargo vessels that can dive below detection, advanced stealth ships invisible to radar and sonar. Technology that officially does not exist being tested in an operational environment. If a nation possesses submarine cargo vessels capable of capturing surface ships, entire strategic calculations change. Underwater commerce, invisible supply lines, untraceable military logistics. The nation that controls such technology would have decisive maritime advantage. But would they test it by abducting civilian vessels? Would they risk international incident to validate experimental systems? The risk seems disproportionate unless the technology is so valuable that testing justifies any cost. Red Sea Doctrine examines the strategic implications. If ships can be made to vanish completely, no maritime commerce is secure. Any vessel could be targeted. Any crew could disappear. Global shipping depends on predictable risk. If risk becomes unpredictable, shipping stops. The Red Sea Hazard Zone demonstrates this perfectly. Commercial traffic through the area has dropped 93%. Ships route around Africa rather than risk the disappearance zone. One unexplained phenomenon closes a strategic waterway. But what happened inside the shipping corridor shocked commanders. 21 days after Mediterranean Hope vanished, a naval vessel entered the hazard zone. A frigate conducting investigation. The warship has every sensor system, every defensive weapon, every communication backup. If the frigate disappears, the mystery has military dimensions. If the frigate survives, the phenomenon only affects civilian vessels. The frigate enters the zone at 14-hour local time. Full daylight, maximum visibility, every system active and recording. The ship proceeds to the exact coordinates where previous vessels vanished. Nothing happens. The frigate remains visible to satellites. Radar functions normally, communications are clear. The warship spends 6 hours in the zone, conducting surveys, testing theories, searching for evidence. No anomalies are detected. No interference occurs. The frigate departs safely with complete data records. Analysis shows nothing unusual. Conclusion: the hazard zone only affects civilian merchant vessels. Naval warships are immune. This creates new theory. The disappearances are targeted. Someone is specifically removing commercial shipping. Military vessels are ignored because attacking them would trigger immediate retaliation. Civilian ships can vanish without military response. The selectivity suggests intelligent targeting, human decision-making, not natural phenomenon, not random weapon, deliberate selection of victims. But who has capability to selectively capture civilian vessels while avoiding military targets? Who benefits from removing specific ships from Red Sea commerce? Who risks international investigation to achieve this objective? Intelligence services have suspects, but no evidence. Regional powers have motive but lack capability. Non-state actors have capability but lack motive. The logical chain breaks at every point. Red Sea Doctrine asks what we are missing. Is this the start of a wider naval war? Comment Y or N. 1 month after the first disappearance, the hazard zone remains active. No additional ships have vanished because no civilian vessels enter the area. The exclusion works. Maritime traffic avoids 17 degrees north, 41 degrees east. Shipping routes are permanently altered. Economic impact spreads across global supply chains. The Red Sea is effectively narrowed. Capacity reduced. Transit times increased. All because 4 ships disappeared and nobody can explain how. The missing crews haunt the investigation. 147 people. Families demand answers. Governments promise investigations. But what answers exist when ships vanish completely? What closure is possible when bodies are never recovered? The families are told their loved ones are presumed dead. Insurance pays out. Death certificates are issued. But presumed is not confirmed. Dead is not proven. The uncertainty is worse than confirmed tragedy. Some families believe the crews are alive, held somewhere, imprisoned for unknown purpose. They lobby governments for rescue operations. They demand military intervention. They refuse to accept disappearance as death. Other families accept the loss. They grieve. They move on. They stop asking questions because questions have no answers. The division between hope and acceptance tears communities apart. Red Sea Doctrine documents the human cost of unexplained disappearance. 4 ships, 147 people, 600 million in cargo, all gone into empty ocean under continuous surveillance. The mystery remains unsolved. The hazard zone remains active. The Red Sea holds its secrets. What breaks next? Trade, diplomacy, or deterrence? Will the disappearances ever be explained, or has the Red Sea created a permanent unsolved mystery? Can shipping return to normal operations, or has fear permanently altered maritime routes through the region? Subscribe to Red Sea Doctrine, where sea power decides everything.